For the Newsfirst team, I'm Niresh Eliathambi. Well, 30 days to go, exactly 1 month, and then we'll be going down to our respective polling stations and we'll be choosing the next parliament, and from that will come the next cabinet. And to discuss all this and much more, we have with us this evening Dr. Mrs. Ajantha Perera, who is no stranger to Sri Lanka and no stranger to our programs, because she was the 4th female candidate to run for president in this country, unfortunately unsuccessfully. That was in 2019, and the very first female candidate who actually didn't come from a family political background. Welcome, Dr. Ajantha.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Dr. Ajantha, you're back in the fray. You are running for parliament again.
Yes,
yes. Now, you did run for parliament once in 2020,
yes,
unsuccessfully,
yes,
but you're back this time and you are heading a very interesting group. It's Independent Group 2, which is running only in the Colombo district. Am I correct?
Yes, yes, very much so.
Now, what is most interesting and unusual about this group is that there are 21 candidates, and of them 16 are ladies. Dr. Ajantha, tell us about this. First of all, why did these ladies step forward, and where have they been all this time? Why haven't they been running for office before this?
Very good question. I think most of these ladies have been doing a tremendous amount of work in their own respective areas. They have been working very hard, but they have never had this inclination. They never felt that they wanted to run for parliament or in an election. So what I felt was, as I was seeking whom I should include in my list, what I felt was that women are very often cornered by saying, you know, you belong at home, you belong with the family to look after the children. But when I look at each one of them, they have done a tremendous amount of work, and they are capable of change, and they are capable of, more than anything else, teamwork. They have done teamwork with me, and so I know they are good at teamwork. They give and take, and they have learned the art of teamwork. And they have a tremendous amount of knowledge, and I think knowledge matters a lot when you go to the parliament. Even if you go to a local authority, knowledge matters tremendously. So I encouraged them, and they said okay, and so 16 are with me, and it's an interesting bunch because they are ever so ready to do whatever we need to get done. And so I think you know, it's an interesting thing for me. I mean, I hope they go down the history because they have stepped forward to do something which they believe that the country requires, because the country needs men and women right now.
So, Dr. Ajantha, I'm just wondering why they didn't step forward into politics earlier, and I'm just guessing here, but in the past our elections have been marred by violence, and that's one of the reasons that many women and many men, many professionals don't step into politics. But with the last election, the presidential election, we had almost no incidents of violence.
That's true.
So suddenly it became more of a decent situation where ordinary people could step into.
And also another thing is, I think an ordinary woman like me, okay, I have a doctorate, that's true.
You're hardly ordinary.
I am an ordinary woman.
Well,
I mean, I don't
not
come
many,
from
not many ladies or gentlemen run for president in,
exactly.
in any country.
And so I think the very fact that I ran for the presidency and then I remained very calm. I mean, nothing mattered to me. I ran for the presidency, I got 27,575 votes. I came 7th in the country out of 35 people, and I am relaxed. I'm still running my family, I'm still looking after my children, I'm with my husband, and I'm doing my work. And so they've been watching me, they've been seeing that it's not impossible. And I think it's not, you don't need to be unique. What you need is a desire for change, a desire for a betterment, a desire saying that, okay, I give up some of the things that I like to do and I go forward for the sake of others. And instead of feeling that, you know, why do we constantly feel, I mean, bad things are happening, and we look at the bad things that are happening and we are saying, okay, they are happening out there, but you know, I'm staying at home and I can only criticize what's happening. That's not good enough. I think most people in this country, especially the Colombo district, remember me holding a board at Timirigasaya Junction every Sunday evening from 5 to 6. I've been holding a board at Liberty Circle, you know, the roundabout. I mean, on various issues, and standing there from 5 to 6 almost every Thursday. And we were beaten up, nearly beaten up by a group of thugs. I mean, how often they came and harassed us, how often we had to go to the police, how often after the Aragalaya. You know, I mean, I had 2 court cases after the Aragalaya. I haven't done anything wrong, but I had to go to the magistrate court and get on that thing, you know. I mean, when they call my name, I have to stand up there. And my family never liked it, but I did it. And when they saw that I was able to do that and yet maintain a good name, I firmly believe as a mother and a wife that I have maintained a good name. And so the other ladies, they felt, if she is going forward and if she wants a team, we are there for you.
Now, your team of 16 ladies out of the 21 on your list, that's an all-time high, if I'm not mistaken, for any party, any independent group in any district. Am I correct?
Yes, actually I think I have the highest, because they, the election commission wanted us to write down the number of women candidates in our list, and I had 16, so they said it was one of the highest, and I don't know, maybe I am the highest at the moment, because there's only 5 males and 16. So one thing that I would say is that once they come forward in this election, by learning to speak, by learning to stand up and you know, give a handout and explain as to why you are there, what you believe in, I firmly believe they will, whoever does not go to the parliament will come for the next set of elections, the local government elections, because there also we need very capable persons, because I think the government, if you really look at the state of the government, it begins at the local level. Whoever does very well at the local level, they then proceed to the provincial, they go to the parliamentary, and then they, you know, and I believe if you want to build up that capacity, you need to give them that opportunity also at the local government level. So I'm excited, because I think in this country we've been talking about it, and as you said, when I stood up for the presidency, I'm really happy that I got a lot of support from the people. I mean, it's not only in terms of votes, but I think it's in terms of acceptance. And now I am bringing a whole bunch of ladies with me, so I'm carrying them forwards, and I'm very proud and happy.
So tell us about your symbol this time. What symbol
I got
running?
a fantastic symbol. I really want to say, when I saw that symbol, I just grabbed it with both my hands because it's a loaf of bread. And a loaf of bread represents, you know, for the family. I've seen again and again in the shanty areas, you know, people carrying a loaf of bread home, and they are going to feed their family. A loaf of bread means, you know, family meal or a meal for a person. And I have always had a fight with at the Consumer Affairs Authority by saying we need to increase the quality of that bread. because at the end of the day what we eat, it should not be just carbohydrate that we are eating. We should increase the quality of it. If you go to countries like Germany and other countries, the loaf of bread represents good health. And therefore, it's very important that at the Consumer Affairs Authority, I used to say the loaf of bread must be nutritious. When they eat it, they must take something good into their system. Second thing is the price of it. In one way it should be nutritious, the price of it. Why is the price of bread so high? Because we are bringing wheat flour from outside and we are making bread. But if you can use rice flour, the bread becomes cheaper. And I have actually done that at the Consumer Affairs Authority. We prepared bread out of rice flour and they are good quality. But it never got off the ground because there was no publicity and there was no, kind of like enthusiasm to push it forward and market it well. So I firmly believe the loaf of bread should be affordable, it should be nutritious, and it should be something that people can afford even with 100 rupees and they take it home. And this is the type of country we should have, where people are not hungry, but they can just go to the shop and buy for 100 rupees a good loaf of bread, bring it home, eat it and feel good about it. This is what we call happiness in a country. We need, if we want to take the country forward towards happiness, and in German you say Zufrieden, we need to really work hard on that. That is affordability. Affordability matters.
Interesting indeed, and a very likable symbol, and one which
Yes.
I'm sure people will remember.
Yes.
Right, because some of those symbols, I have been through the entire list.
I know, I've
and
seen
some
it.
of those symbols are rather awkward symbols, and
Yes.
right. Now, of the 16 women candidates, who are these ladies? Are they professionals? Are they?
Yes.
Is it a mix of people?
Yeah, they are actually, majority of them are actually people who are running their own little businesses. Some of them are actually even doing plantations, and some of these other people are actually, I even have about couple of housewives. And why I think about that is they have given up their jobs because of the family life, but they are educated. Almost all of them are educated, but they are running their businesses, they are running their plantations and all those things. And the beauty of it I like is that they are strengthened, they are inner strength. Because you see, when we come to the parliament, what matters is the knowledge that you have acquired over the years. I am a firm believer that if you see, when you get to the parliament, you are given a portfolio where you have to sit together as 225 people and you need to decide on the policies of the country. You need to come to some agreement on those things. You see, very often what is so lacking is agreeability. You need to understand there is a constitution and there are the policies, and each one of these policies should be in such a way that the people who are living in this country can live well. For example, we have been talking about transparency, accountability. Transparency and accountability are so important. In the policy statements, we need to ensure that we have accountability and transparency. And then the next one is justice, and justice is so important for a country. Now, as women, these are things that we long for. Justice should be there because the family should be safe. Accountability should be there. Transparency should be there so that the family is safe. This is all, at the end of the day, matters to the family. Natural resources should be equally shared among every community because it matters to the family. Economics is development of the country. What you get out of development should be equally shared so that the family can prosper. You see, for a mother or for a woman, that matters a lot, because at the end of the day, what you are targeting is not for yourself right now. What a woman would target for is for their family, the generations. We don't look just at this time, but we look at the generations to come. And therefore, when you are in the parliament, teamwork becomes very important. I mean, outside right now, I am independent, there is another party, there is another party, there is another party. We are all giving a good fight. And we are giving a good fight to get into the parliament. But once we are inside the parliament, we are one team. 225 people sitting together, looking at the constitution, ensuring that the policies are in place so that the regulations can come, and thereby that the ministries can take over and do the needful. So, very important is that there should be ability to understand each other and say we are doing this for the sake of the country. We don't want a parliament where people are standing up and saying, I am green, I am red, I am blue. That's not why we are going to the parliament. We are going to the parliament so that the betterment of the country will take place. And therefore, we need to understand that we have common policies. And this is why Sri Lanka has failed for many years. Sri Lanka has failed because we don't have national policies. Most of the time, the policies that are put forward by one group changes when the next bunch come. That's not what we want. We want national policies. And if the national policies are to take place, are to be in place, then the knowledge matters. We need to send experienced people to the parliament. It's not about the political party. And I don't like this fact that political parties are saying, you know, give us the biggest number of people. Rubbish. Can't you work with the independent people? Can't you work with the opposition? Why do you want to have 2/3 majority? You want 2/3 majority because they will all say yes sir, yes sir. No, that's not why you go to the parliament. You don't go to the parliament to say yes sir, yes sir. You go to the parliament for teamwork, and this is the way that we need to change. We need to understand, once you are inside the parliament, all the decisions that you take are for the betterment of the country. Otherwise, we would have a very difficult time with a country where the economics is so low, and we need to lift it up.
Now, what you're saying is basically, although each MP belongs to a party, and they are supposed to represent the people,
yes,
not the party.
Exactly.
But this is not the case, Dr. Ajantha. It's a situation where the MPs, by and large, they do vote in the party bloc.
Yes.
And if they don't vote, if they vote by their conscience and vote in any other way, they are disciplined by their party. So there is a big problem here, isn't there?
I think it begins with the president himself or herself. The president needs to understand, once you become the president of a country, you do not represent a party at all. You have absolute zero right to stand up in a rally representing a party. Because once you become the president, if you are a Sinhala president, does that mean you are only going to take care of the Sinhala people? Is that what you are saying? If suppose the president comes from the party X, is he only going to take care of that particular party called X? Then the same way, is he going to only take care of the religion that he represents? No, the president is a wholesome figure. Once you become the president, you should give up your membership of your party. Why should you hold on to the membership? You have attained the highest level, and therefore, the president cannot say to a political party, you need to take care of me, you need to make sure that I can stay in power by voting for whatever I put forward. That's rubbish. You see, once he becomes the president, he or she becomes the president, becomes the head. Head means that overall control, overall looking after, and it should not be political based, party based, and I think this is wrong. And so if we think that way, it doesn't matter who goes to the parliament, as long as you work in one mind. And we are right now, after the Aragalia, we have been saying we need good quality people, people who are honest, people who are educated, people who are upright, people who have integrity, people who work with transparency. We need that kind of people.
Now, talking about the type of people in Parliament, so far I think 58 MPs from the last Parliament have announced that they are not running for re-election.
Thank God for that.
Some of them are attempting to come through their national lists in the party.
Wrong.
So clearly we can assume that they are, at least some of them, are afraid of running because they would lose, and then their political futures would be uncertain. So it's very interesting when you look at the list of people who have been stalwarts of their parties, and they are not running this time.
I think it's a good thing that they are not running. At least they have understood what the people want. People went through a struggle because people believe that there should be a change. And the change that people wanted was not a change in color, absolute zero. Nobody wanted a change in color. All what we want are good people in the parliament. We want people who are not only capable, who are committed. The word that we are using is committed. There should be a commitment inside of your heart to say, I will only look after the future of my country, and I will make sure this country will prosper. And they should be willing to give up their pension, they should be willing to give up their car permit, they should be willing to give up whatever the other things that they receive. You know, how can you call an MP honorable? I do not understand why in Sri Lanka we call people honorable. I do not. If I ever go to the parliament, which I hope and I believe and I like to be in the next parliament, I do not want to be called Honorable Ajantha Perera. I do not deserve that honorable. Where does that come from? If I am getting a salary, if I am given a vehicle, if I am given petrol, if I am given a driver, and I have been given all the comfort in the world and including a good meal in the parliament, why should I be called an honorable? Where does that honorability come from? Honorability comes only from being a good person who does the right thing.
Now, Dr. Ajantha, when you ran for the presidency in 2019, you ran from the Socialist Party.
Yes.
And then you were invited by the UNP to join them, and you ran in the 2020 general election as a candidate from the UNP.
Yes, I
but
did.
After that you were not active in UNP politics at all.
Yes.
So it appears that, well, you
actually what happened was that during the time after the election, parliamentary election, there came the situation with Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who was the president at that time. I saw that he was making a lot of mistakes, and eventually we had to speak it out loud. And as I was speaking out loud, there came the Aragalia. And as I stepped into Aragalia, I promised myself and the people who were at the Aragalia that I would not be in party politics, I would be independent. And therefore, I dissociated myself completely from UNP. And from that day onwards up to today, I am standing even in this election as an independent candidate because I do not want to belong to a particular political party until I build my own party one day with the value system that I believe in. Because the most important thing is that if you promise people something, you have to stand by that. You know, I couldn't say it just in the Aragale, I couldn't say that I am independent and I can't go back. That's not my style. That's not what Ajantha Perera is about. I have things, value system inside of me, inbuilt, which says I will not lie to my people. I can't lie to people in Sri Lanka because these people have gone through so much. We've had a war, 30-year war. Up to now, there are women waiting at the fence, waiting for the husband to come back home, the son to come back home. I mean, how can I lie to those people? I mean, we have people who are even right now during these heavy rains, people, their houses are totally flooded. They don't know where to go, what to do. They don't even have a way to cook their meal. I mean, along the railway line, on either side of the railway line, the shanties, and they are all flooded. And how can I ever lie to those people? How can I lie and live? What's the use? And I know being an independent candidate is a very risky factor, because if you come from a party, people will put the cross for the party and then they choose. But when it's an independent candidate, you have to really show yourself and people should really know you. But I'm willing to take that risk because I know I'm a person who will die one day.
So, Dr. Ajantha, how are you planning to do your campaigning? Because it is an expensive business.
Yes.
And your group obviously does not have millions and billions to spend on a campaign.
No.
How are you planning to get the word out?
Okay, so the same way that I ran the presidential candidate thing, basically YouTube, I'm grateful for interviews like this, and then we generally what we do is we do a leaflet and we go and give it to the people. And one thing I really want to say something very special about the people of Sri Lanka, which I am very proud about. We had a culture of people throwing things, even garbage, they were throwing garbage here and there, remember? And I am the one who built the recycling program for Sri Lanka, national program on recycling of solid waste. One thing I saw in them was, whenever we have given them a leaflet, they have never thrown it on the roadside. And we have always checked. We have always made sure after we distribute the leaflets, we go back on the same way and we check to see whether there are any leaflets on the roadside, because we want to, one, we don't want to waste resources, second is we do not want to litter the road, and therefore we go and have a look at it and people never throw it away. So I'm grateful to you. I really want to say to the people of Sri Lanka, you've come a long way. They've come in a tremendous way. And we just have a little bit of a hurdle only and we'll get there.
Now, we have many opposition parties in this country. You've got the SJB, the UNP, the SLPP. In the northeast, you have ITAC and various other groups. And then up country, you've got the CWC and various other groups. So, there's no lack of opposition parties. But don't you have any faith in those parties?
Well, the thing is, you see, all these parties have their leaders and they have their, let's say, their policies, and they have their agreements. They say, we do this, do that, and they have certain policies. Each one has their own policy. You see, once you go to the parliament through one of those parties, there is a danger when a particular policy is to be agreed upon, accepted, right? What happens there is that the leader would come and discuss about it among the members that he has taken to the parliament. And then he says, according to this, this and this, what we want to achieve is this. Therefore, all of us refrain from voting. Or he would say, he or she would say, we will all vote against. Or they would say, we will vote for. Now, I do not want to be a person within that group, because I have a mind of my own. And I am not going to the parliament to be against everything that the government does. I do not want to be in agreement always with the opposition. I am going there full of knowledge. I have tremendous amount of experience in government sector. I have a tremendous amount of experience in all other sectors. I have worked internationally. I have been qualified internationally, and therefore I am going there with a mind of my own, with the knowledge that I have, and representing the people who have voted for me. What do they expect from me is honesty. And I want to be an honest person. So, if the government brings a policy which I believe is very good, I put my hand up. But if they bring a policy where it needs to be amended, I request for amendment. And if they bring a policy which I know is going to be detriment to a family or life, or to the social life, or to the economy, I will vote against them. And I want to hold that right, and this is why I think many people in this election should vote for independent candidates. The more independent candidates we have, the better it is for the government, because they will be able to acquire them by doing the right thing. Government does not have to have 2/3 majority. Government needs to bring good policies. The government needs to bring correct policies. The government needs to bring healthy policies. Government needs to bring positive policies. If they bring those, independents will put their hand up. There is no problem with that.
Now, the conventional wisdom these days seems to be that the NPP would gain the majority. What are your views with regard to an NPP government, a cabinet? Would you be supportive, or would it depend on the particular policy that they are putting forward?
I think in a way, Anura Kumara Dissanayake, he has got the majority. Now he is the president. We respect that. We appreciate that, and we are happy that he's started his work as the president of this country, and I am happy about that. The most important thing right now is, after the parliamentary election, whom does he elect as his cabinet? That's the most important thing. Whom does he elect as the prime minister? Thereafter, what are the policies that he is going to bring? What are the decisions he is going to take? Because the most important thing is, Sri Lanka is in debt. We can't afford to be always taking debt further. I know he has taken USD 200 million very recently. So, if we continue to take debt, if we continue to increase our debt, we are in deep trouble, because it's so important that we develop our internal economy, we become a self-sufficient country. It's not difficult for us to become self-sufficient. And therefore, what we need to do is to ensure that we have a manufacturing system. We need to make sure that they are sustainable. We develop the country in such a way that we are able to export. That's very important. We need to also ensure that the small entrepreneurs are built up, that they are given that opportunity to enhance their income, and thereby they will contribute to the economy. You see, very, very important, there is a huge amount of wastage in the country, in terms of electricity, in terms of water, in terms of other resources. We have a huge wastage. We need to cut down on those things. So, those are issues that I am sure the president and the cabinet can agree upon with the independent and the opposition. If they bring all these issues, nobody is going to oppose them. You see, we have to remember why Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa failed was, he was a stubborn man. He wanted to have his way. And when people were telling him, don't use compost alone, mix it with other fertilizer, he did not want to listen to it. So, I mean, this is only one simple example. So, what I feel is, if the system is running well, everybody would be supportive. The second thing is, I think whoever goes to the parliament should be going with the attitude of enhancing, not destructive. It should be constructive. You see, We are elected by people to go to the parliament, not to create a mess. We are elected by people to go to the parliament to rebuild Sri Lanka or build it better or enhance the capacities. So, everyone who puts a cross, say, in front of my name, they are thinking, okay, Ajantha will do the job. So, I am putting this, and I need, as a human being, to understand what they believe in. I need to endorse and stand by that.
Now, we have in this country 5 former presidents, from President Chandrika to Mahinda Rajapaksa, President Sirasa, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, and now Ranil Wickremesinghe. And in the last parliament, we had 2 of them who were members of parliament after they stepped down from the presidency, which was quite unusual, because in most countries, once you reach that exalted position,
you go,
you know, and then you step down, you retire gracefully.
Exactly. Wow.
But in our country, we had this situation. But now this time, none of those 5 are running for the parliament.
Yes.
Of course, President Chandrika never even considered doing that, but the others certainly are not going to run. Do you see this retirement of politicians as being a good thing?
Well, I think, you see, once you live that life of a president, you have gained a tremendous wealth of knowledge. You have gained a tremendous amount of capacity. How you should utilize that is to promote the youth. You see, you are a mature person, and you have a tremendous wealth of knowledge and capability or experiences that you could give to the younger people. This is exactly what should happen. All the past presidents should be speaking to the younger generation, encouraging them, telling them how they got there, what are the mistakes they made. I mean, you can ask me, I have made so many mistakes and I haven't been such a great person, but I have made enough mistakes. So, mistakes help a person to grow. And so, all the presidents would say, okay, I should not have moved in this way, I should not have made those international agreements. You know, they can tell the younger person, and the younger people would benefit tremendously from those presidents. I think they should not feel, I am giving up, I am losing power. I mean, power has nothing to do with you being the president. I mean, you know.
But in Sri Lanka, that is what being the president has been. The power, and it stems from the Sinhala word balaya, because actually, you are not supposed to be in power, you are supposed to be in office. Exactly. Serving the people.
You are, you know, a president is the biggest servant. The president is the biggest servant of the government. They are, I mean, you are called the government servant. Servant means you serve. So, more than the MP, more than the minister, more than the Pradesh Sabha chairman, the president should be serving. He's been given that portfolio to serve. You know, the beauty, I don't know, I love this thing about being a servant, because the moment you walk into the parliament, having won the election because of the number of people who have voted for you, you are walking into the parliament as a servant of those people. You need to have all the time in mind what those people want you to achieve. You can't go there listening to what your husband wants you to do. You can't be going to the parliament listening to what your wife wants you to do. You can't be going to the parliament listening to what your children want you to do. You can't be going to the parliament listening to what your sponsors want you to do. You are going there to do what those people who voted for you expect you to do. And thereby you are a servant. You give up all the things that you like to do, and you are supposed to do exactly what those people expect you to do. What is tremendous? Isn't that a fantastic opportunity in a human life?
Now, Dr. Ajantha, let's talk about you for a minute. You are a well-known environmentalist, apart from your political activities.
Garbage queen.
Yes, you were called the garbage queen because because of your efforts in recycling.
Yes.
Tell us about it. And you were a senior lecturer
Yes.
in environmental studies at the University of Colombo.
Yes.
And you've lectured in other universities as well.
Yeah.
So tell us about how you got into this and what you've achieved and where you want Sri Lanka to go in this environmental area.
Yeah, I think actually I did my PhD and Masters and my both PhD in the University of Munich in Germany. Before that, my basic degree is from University of Sheffield in England, biochemistry and physiology. I went to school in England. I did my advanced level at Harrow College of Art and Technology in Middlesex, Harrow in England. So I, after doing all these things, when I came back to Sri Lanka, I saw the piles of garbage on the roadside. And for me, I felt my PhD was for me to solve a problem. And here it is right in front of my eyes, and I'm feeling it right in my nose, the stinking smell, and therefore I wanted to bring about a change. So I went to the garbage pit. I went to the garbage dump site in Blumendal, Meetherumulla, and I walked the garbage dump. I literally just started to move. I walked in there just to find out why do people throw garbage on the roadside. And I met the most beautiful people that I have ever met in my life, the rag pickers, those who go to the garbage dump, collect tins, plastic, they collect coconut shells and they sell it, and that's how they lived. So I went and met them, and then they told me, I asked them, what do you do with this? They said, we are selling them. So I said, wherever you are selling them, I want to go and see. So I got into the garbage truck with them. And they were driving the garbage truck down the roads of Colombo, and there I was inside the garbage truck. And I went, and we went to the recycling places. And after I saw that, I thought how stupid the people in this country are. Why are they throwing garbage on the roadside when they know there is a value in it? So I developed the National Program for Recycling of Solid Waste. And I gave ID cards to all the rag pickers, and they became my best of friends. And then I felt I am not a professor, but I rather a student now, learning about the garbage issue. The rag pickers became the professors. They started to teach me. I brought them to the University of Colombo. I brought Mr. Bernard Soisa, who was the minister at that time, to the University of Colombo. I got Mr. Bernard Soisa and the rag pickers to be lighting the lamp, not me. Because I felt they are like professors, they knew the subject. And that's how I started to work with the local authorities, develop the national program on recycling of solid waste, and I coined the singular word for recycling, Pratichakrikaranaya. Prati, cycle, chakraya, Pratichakrikaranaya. So now that name is on every garbage truck, saying Pratichakrikaranaya Karam. So I am very happy about that. And then to be very frank with you, a lot of the media gave me a lot of space, and I was able to talk about it, and through that I was able to create a huge amount of environmental awareness among the people, and people also wanted to see a change. They jumped in there because they wanted to see a change. And today, over many years, I am so happy we do not have much garbage on the roadside. We do not, at least there's a certain amount being recycled. So one of the things that I really want to do when I get to the parliament is to promote recycling too, because I think we need to develop the country in such a way that we economically we can contribute tremendously through the garbage issue. We can create energy out of it, and recycling will be a small scale industry for the country. So those things can also be promoted. But at policy level, we already have a national policy on solid waste, which I managed to write down during the time of Mr. Patli Champika when he was the Minister for Environment. I also worked with Mrs. Atulat Mudali, and I made sure that the rack pickers were considered as almost green workers. And so now this will be a better opportunity for me once I get there to make sure that recycling, composting becomes part and parcel of the sustainable mechanism for Sri Lanka.
Well, I do hope that you get to Parliament, because it will certainly make for a more interesting Parliament.
I think so.
And I'm afraid that we are out of time. My thanks to Dr. Ajantha Perera, who is leading the independent Group 2 in the Colombo district under the symbol of the loaf of bread. So thank you very much to you at home for watching. Don't go away, because the news is coming up next. Have a good evening.